We continue to follow the debate over the proposal to change the voting districts in Palm Desert from 2 to 5, which could go to the ballot later this year. I recently spoke with the city's mayor, who does not support the change, but the group Drive4Five says that it's needed. I spoke in depth about the issue today with Drive4Five member Carlos Garcia. Carlos, first off, tell us about the group Drive4Five and why you think there should be 5 districts in Palm Desert.
Well, Drive4Five is a group of interested citizens who are interested in this issue. It's a nonpartisan issue. It's just a governance issue, not a partisan issue. And we've been working together to try to promote 5 districts to catch up to the rest of most of California. Roughly 80% of all Californians live in districted communities, either county communities or city communities. So it is really the norm to have at least 5 districts. The way Palm Desert is organized, it's extremely bizarre. It's very unfair. It's very unreasonable. And it tilts the balance of power to the south end of town, to the detriment of the north end of town. So it's just patently unfair.
I recently spoke with Palm Desert Mayor Jan Harnick. She does not support 5 districts and said that she thinks that Palm Desert is already a well-run city. She mentioned that the population of Palm Desert is not large enough for 5 districts. And she also is concerned, like a lot of folks, that this would lead to more divisiveness in the city. Your response to that?
Well, the divisiveness issue is an interesting argument, because what's really divisive to me is having all of the 5 council persons living in half the town and the other half of the town being unrepresented. That is divisive. Also, there are communities in California that have gone with this and fought those that have fought this. And all the ones that have fought this effort to make city government more representative have spent millions and millions of dollars in doing so. For example, Sunnyvale, California and Santa Clara, California, right next to each other. Sunnyvale said, oh, and they were both hit by lawsuits. Sunnyvale said, okay, no problem, we'll take care of it. Went to 5 districts, no change in good governance, no change in city policy, really, just a smooth transition. Whereas Santa Clara decided to fight it, spent $7 million fighting it, and ended up going there anyway. So Palm Desert is spending money fighting this inevitable change because we live in a representative democracy. I mean, that's what we do. We have representatives. That's why we don't have a city council people who live in La Quinta or live in India. They live here because they know their community. And when you know your neighborhood, it's a different situation than caring about something. Caring and studying something is interesting, but when you live it, it's a different experience. So you really need local representatives. You really need a whole city being represented on the city council to give every voter an equal chance to express their thoughts and their views. It really is about good governance, and cities of Palm Desert have fought it, but other cities like Palm Springs, Cathedral City, Indio did not. And they've transitioned to 5 districts smoothly, no problems. Everything's working fine. Really, the city ends up being run mostly by the city staff and with the guidance of the city council, but we want that guidance to come from the whole city, not just half the city.
So then, Carlos, let me just ask you point blank. In your opinion, is Palm Desert not a well-run city?
Definitely, it is definitely a well-run city. That is not the issue. The issue is representation. So it's a well-run city. We're very happy to live here. We're very proud to live in Palm Desert, and we all love Palm Desert, but we want all of the issues from all of the various neighborhoods included and considered when decisions are made. For example, we're about to have a park built near us in North Palm Desert, and nobody's there who lives locally, who's there to really say what needs to be done. When you study an issue, it's different from when you live it. And living in the North Palm Desert area, different issues come up. For example, this wind is higher and stronger here than it is in South Palm Desert. So we get drifts, literally sand dunes, like on our roads. And do we get regular street sweeping to make sure that that's not the case, that danger is removed? No. Because the people who are making the decisions don't live here, they don't see it, they don't drive it every day, they don't walk it every day. It's just a different experience. And 5 districts is the norm in that throughout California. Nobody is saying that Palm Springs went from a well-managed city to a badly run city. It's not. It's the same thing. It's doing perfectly well. The transitions are perfectly smooth. And now all of Palm Springs and all of Cathedral City and all of Indio have full representation, and everything's gone fine.
So let me ask you, Carlos, where do we go from here? Are you hoping that this goes to the ballot in November?
We do hope it goes to the ballot in November. Honestly, the smartest and easiest thing for the city council to do would be to simply implement this. They do not need to take it to a vote to implement a fair system. What they should do is implement it for the 22 election. But at the very least, they need to put it on the ballot, which means there goes big money again, having to deal with 40,000 people to try to convince 50,000 this time. 50,000 people that 5 districts is the right way to go. But we will stand considerable headwinds because the incumbents have more power, more money, access to greater influence. So it'll be a tough road to hoe. But
well, if this doesn't pass, if it does go to a ballot and it's not voted for, what then? Are you going to sue?
I've heard rumors that people are considering that. It would certainly not be led by our group or by me, but there are people who are considering suing Palm Desert again, and there goes another millions of dollars fighting fighting an inevitability. The city's becoming more diverse than ever, and we need a city council that is diverse, and not just racially or culturally, but also demographically, also geographically and economically. So to achieve that, we need 5 districts.
Let me ask you, Carlos, for folks who don't live in Palm Desert, Palm Springs, Cathedral City, La Quinta, Indio, why should they care about this issue if it doesn't affect them? Why should people outside of Palm Desert be concerned with what's happening in Palm Desert?
Well, for example, our area being more diverse than South Palm Desert, it links us more closely to communities like Cathedral City and Indio and North Palm Springs as well. So we want to be able to represent the whole valley. And eventually, this is a movement that's been spreading across California for decades now. And roughly, as I said, about at least 60% of all cities, 60 to 70% of all cities in California now have 5 districts or district voting, similar to the plan that we are proposing. So this is the norm. And what's weird is the system that we have. So we want to normalize our city government in Palm Desert. We want to be able to work, I think this will help us work more closely with our sister cities, such as Palm Springs and Cathedral City and Indio, that have already gone to 5 districts. That system is already implemented. It's working well. And we want to continue that trend towards greater representational democracy.
Anything else you'd like to say before we let you go?
If people have interest in learning more about our effort, they can go to www.drive4five, that's the number 4, the letter 5, the word 5, drive4five.info. So there's more information there. People can volunteer, they can contribute to our effort. So it's drive4five.info.
All right, Carlos, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Peter. Appreciate it.
Let us know if you believe Palm Desert should move to 5 voting districts. Take our latest poll on our website, kesq.com.